Venez dans l'hôpital pour vendre
Mm,
de la drogue.
mm.
Non, mais attends, mais après, il y a un islamiste qui avait fait un braquage, je sais pas quoi.
Ok,
Il leur a
3,
dit
2.
à lui et Pierre, si
Mhm.
je vais aller en prison et tout ça, je vous égorge tous les deux.
Wow. Okay, guys. So, we're gonna try to, as quickly as possible, look at the rest of the interviews, starting from Inber 7 Deldi, which is, of course, the ninth month of the year, whatever you call that in your language. I think in your language you call that the seventh month. We're going to look at that, and here's what the goal is. We talked in the last review, the most recent review, which was the first review that we've done of the interviews. Talked in that one about what the goals of the interviews were, and also some of the things that we wanted to look at as we reviewed the interviews. Right now, we know what I think we want to do next. I don't even know whether you can see this. Oh yeah, that's good. We're gonna come up with an SAT. Il faut que je mette plus bas. That's good. We're going to do an SAT, self-awareness test. And so what I want to look at specifically with these videos now are what are some things that we can ask? Oh, you know what? before we start watching, I am going to share with you some of the questions that I have so far, and maybe even explain them really quickly. And then we'll get into this Belgian couple from La Rochelle. All right, so let's see what's on here. Um, so we want two sections for the questions, or maybe, I don't know. One is like, what are you and what are your sort of capacities, being whatever you are? So let's say your brain. What do you know about your capacities? And then also your critical, not just your critical recognition, but also whether you take responsibility for that, which we can call the critical responsibility. So if we say that there are five R's, there's individual thinking, which involves critical recognition, critical reflection, and critical research. Then there's whatever the R is going to be for exchanging with other people, so critical that, for communication. But then back to individual sort of. So maybe this is one of the four individual things, but it's not for thinking. It's do you take responsibility for the fact that your brain, that you say a bunch of nonsense, um, go over there.
What do you make new?
Thank you. Critical responsibility is do you take responsibility for the fact that you're a brain and you're saying nonsense? And we already know lots of the common ways that you say nonsense. So then we want to maybe try to figure out today what are the types and categories of questions. And then, oh, here's an example of a question that I think it is in my list. What are your forging forces? I feel like it would be a valuable thing in a conversation. If you're talking to someone, maybe they know nothing about cognitive biases, um, but whatever your forging forces are, you should have an understanding of them to know how you are forged, because how you're forged kind of tells you what you know about the forging process helps you know about the product, right? That was forged by the forging process. Most people will attribute their forging to their parents, to their education, so on. Okay, let's say that you don't realize that there's genes, that genes exist, for instance, and that evolution happened. Let's say you imagine you're just a magical soul that arrives pure on Earth, and then just a total blank slate, and then just a life experience has right stuff on. Okay, what do you know about the mechanics of that specifically? What do you know about what kinds of experiences have what kinds of impacts on your thinking? And if you don't, look, you don't need to rack your brain, actually. You can just stop thinking that you're this magical blank slate that life etched into, and instead start learning about evolution. Start thinking about, oh yeah, natural selection. That's one of my forging forces. And then yes. Yes, 100%. Your life is going to have an effect on those connections as well. And a great resource to learn about that from evolution to actually in the heat of the moment as an adult. There's a book, Behave, by Robert Sapolsky. It's a really cool book. It's set up like so basically the whole thing, the frame of reference is when you do something. So let's say, I don't know, you insult somebody, let's say. Okay. So then like the first chapter is from millions of years ago. So it says about the events millions of years ago that led to the fact that you're going to insult this person. So it talks about all the different ways that our genes and brains were forged by evolutionary pressures and natural pressures, and how we see in other animals the similar networks and stuff like that. Okay. And then it goes, so it's like millions of years before, and then a generation before. So now it's talking about the reproductive processes of your parents and grandparents, how that's going to have an effect on who you are and what you do. Then it goes to early childhood, so how things from early childhood have an effect on what you do as an adult. And then it goes to hours before, so what you've had to eat is going to have an effect on whatever this thing action is, and seconds before the actual the chemicals and neurons firing. I don't understand how a book like that can exist and we still talk about souls and magic. I mean, all right. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the questions that we have so far. Okay, so how come in so many languages the biggest insult often involves a reference to the mother? My answer is, regardless of the culture, language, and area, they're all human brains with the same basic wiring of sensitivity to insults about the mother. And this is probably true for other species as well. Attacks on the mother are taken seriously by an organism. Things like little things that people say, like if I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't be. That was just from a TV show I was watching. People kept saying that, and to be honest, I've been maybe talking to a woman, and I start going on and on and on about the brain, and I say, hey, I can stop, and also, I hope you don't feel forced to like be here and listen to this. And then she'll say something like, "Oh, I wouldn't be here if I didn't want to be." And every time it's like, that's bullshit. That's just not how the mind works. Um, like what? You just wouldn't want to be. So as soon as like part of you doesn't want to be, the whole part of you would know that it doesn't want to be, and then what would you do? Show me, because I've never seen you violate norms like that. So what would you do? Let's say you can't think of any excuse, any bullshit, then what would you do? No, you would sit there and you'd smile politely and ask questions and stuff. And me, being the way that I am, would think you're absolutely loving it. And it doesn't help that you're acting like you're so reasonable that if you didn't want to be somewhere, then you wouldn't be there. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. There's so many other reasons why people are in places other than they don't want to be there. Even conversations. Yes. Why doesn't the human brain run its best mechanisms? Basically, it's like, do you realize you're a physical, biological thing? Do you realize that those hottest, latest, the most connected in the brain mechanisms, um, they can't be running all the time because that's not how nature, biology, evolution works. You're always trying to cut corners. You're always trying to save energy, and also the mechanisms of today, the mechanisms that are most useful for some of the most important sort of global events or questions of today, weren't important mechanisms really back then. They just sort of, our illusion of them just kind of the byproduct of other things that were cool. So the answer is, because it's a brain, and it has to save energy. So it's just the way it's wired is that it, and only in special circumstances is going to run the best mechanisms, and I might have to even reprogram which situations provoke that, and figure out a way to trigger that. Okay, I am reasonable. Like, do you know that you're a brain? I have a video, What is Reason? And I think that was there's a pretty fair definition of reason, and the corollary of that definition anyway was that's not a possible pre-programmed state, nor could over the course of 30 years a person be programmed with all of the calibrations necessary to know how to treat every piece of information, aka be reasonable. Next, suppose your brain wanted to kill people, what would you do? So this is funny. This is not, one thing I want to say is I'm not saying that anybody whose brain wants to kill people, they should go and do that and everything's fine. Alright, so that aside, suppose your brain wants to kill people, what would you do? This is a really interesting question. one question is it the whole brain that wants to do it? Or is there, in the case of, like, for instance, a tumor in a certain area, there are certain mechanisms that are going murder, 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 and other mechanisms still don't? In that case, what would you do? Well, first of all, you don't know because you don't actually have that brain, I'm assuming. Um, but what I guess you would have to do is you have to talk to somebody and get them to help the good mechanisms win against the bad ones. Now, if we mean your whole brain wants to kill people, then what you would do is kill people. I'm not saying that's what you should do, but if the entire brain wants to kill people, and let's suppose that the body is able to, oh, and let's suppose that the brain is able to as well, because there are, of course, mechanisms that just make it difficult to, or at least that's what you see on TV shows, and also, I've been in sort of hairy situations, and, there is resistance to hurting someone. So maybe there's some mechanisms going murder, 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 as we've seen with a number of different killers, and then other mechanisms going no, don't. And we've seen in these killers' journal the struggle that they were having, and then, well, these killers ended up killing people. But ideally, they would have been able, someone would have understood and had some exercises to help power up the ones that don't want to, and maybe some exercise to power down, or surgery to power down, if it's in the case of like a tumor, the bad ones. But here's what I expect to hear. I would resist the impulse. Oh, okay. But I didn't even say which part of your brain wanted to kill people. What if it was all these networks here want to kill people? What are you going to resist the impulse with? This is how you resist impulses. But if these are wired such that killing is like, okay. What are your forging forces? Point best you can at yourself. That one's easy. I've done that in a few. Where would a person need to look to understand himself? The answer for me is not only past history, current behavior, the thoughts that we experience and stuff like that, but also evolution, and if you're lucky enough to have been diagnosed with anything, then you can look at books to find out a whole bunch of stuff that will tell you, like, the stuff you thought was just special to you. How can a brain stop being racist? The answer would be something about intervening mechanisms, which could be stimulated by contact with the other race. But that contact has to be a certain kind of contact, which is described in contact theory, not mine. Can't remember who. I'm sorry. But anyway, so you have to one, spend time with them in like a chill environment so that the brain's mistrust mechanisms can take a seat back because there's nothing going on, nothing bad happening. Get some time like that, get the brain used to that, get the guys changing a little bit in the brain, then you have them work together towards some common goals, blah, blah, blah. And that's a way to reprogram, to revoice. But what I expect to hear is like, oh, well, you should learn that everybody's equal, or you should learn the value of love. What do you mean learn that everybody's equal? You really believe everybody's equal? I don't believe you. So I don't know how that statement in this brain is going to rewire everything. I don't even think you believe that, really. What's the difference between you and a dog, or some differences? So I'm expecting people to be like, well, we have intelligence, we have reason, and then I probably would ask them. Well, these aren't interview questions; these are self-awareness tests. It's either you pass or fail, and a fail would be to say, oh, well, we have intelligence, or we have rationality. And Steven Pinker says one of the first things to know about rationality is that it isn't some superpower, like some X-ray vision thing like Superman has, and like either you have it or you don't. It's particular it's a particular kit of cognitive tools for particular situations. I promise you, Neo also has some cognitive tools. And then how do you know when you are wrong? And then if you say something like, "Oh, I sense it, I catch it," no, you don't. Sometimes maybe, sometimes an error here sets off something here, But no, there's no like perfect error detector in here. So, no, no, no. Anytime you've caught it, that's a fraction of the times that you've been wrong. And also there's no real reliable way introspectively to know that you're wrong. The only way to really know or to see whether you may be wrong is to look at data, to look at, I'm sorry to say this, but people who have studied the data, spent their lives researching this. And then also you can try to list out your things, try to take a step back, look out your reasons, list out your reasons, maybe see it look at it with another person, stuff like that. And if you have self-awareness, then these are some of the things you would say, rather than, oh, I know. I mean, sometimes I won't realize immediately. Sometimes I'll like realize the next day, but I usually realize when I was wrong. And I'll say, how do you realize? Oh, well, there's just like there's a part of you that sometimes I don't know, maybe like the true rational part is sometimes like I'm hungry or something's off or I was drinking and so I'm a little bit different. I'm not myself. But then the next day I'm myself again, and myself, of course, is perfectly reasonable and rational. And so then, anytime I've been wrong, I've always like realized it at least by like the next day. Oh wait, except one time, but I don't know. Okay. And then what about someone else? A self-aware person might say something like, well, my gut is gonna be like, oh, something's wrong with what this person is saying, because I don't really know whether they're wrong or whether they've just set an alarm in me that's actually wrong. Um, so then if I think I have some confidence that they're wrong, it's because like I've looked at their arguments, and not to say that we really got a chance to fully discuss them or that I can really presume to have fully understood them, or and that I wasn't, that I impartially evaluated them. That's what we're gonna hear from me. All right, how much time is that been? 20 minutes. Jeez. Oops. Oopsie daisy. All right, let's get into it. So all set. Okay, so you're from Belgium?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Can you hold that?
Yep.
People will be able to hear my voice easily.
Okay.
All right, let's have the nice background here.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
No?
Yeah, maybe. Like bias.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Oh, let's back up here so we're out of people's way.
Okay.
All right, do you know what a cognitive bias is?
Yeah.
A cognitive bias? Here, face this way.
Yeah.
Like een cognitieve. No.
Yeah, maybe. Like confirmation bias. So the mind is always making mistakes.
Yeah.
And we've studied these mistakes, and we know hundreds of them. So I wanted to know whether you could name any. If you can't, that's okay. Can you? Okay, then last question. What is the mind?
The mind.
Yeah, what is it?
Sure, mind. Yeah. It's a difficult question.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, your
Okay.
your
I think it's mainly
Your
things
path,
you
your-
make up yourself.
yeah. What
Things you
think.
make up yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What's the brain?
Yeah, that's what you know and
It's-
what is real, maybe.
How do you say it in English? It's your brain is
Controlling your
yeah,
arms.
controlling all your body.
Okay. But what about your decisions?
Your nose.
What about your decisions?
Smell.
I think it's a combination of the two.
Of the two?
Yeah.
And where's the mind?
Your beliefs and your
Where?
where is your
Yeah.
mind in your body or
Yeah. Okay. Great. Fantastic. It is so funny though, and again, nothing against these people. It's okay. It's only 12024, and yeah, and so we have these boats and these buildings and have no problem using words like mind and belief and so on, and we can talk about it without. Like, if there was such a thing as a reasonable human being, pretty early on in this interaction here, they're like, "Holy shit, I better stop talking because I don't know I don't know, and I want to just string words together here. It doesn't sound, and if it doesn't sound stupid, don't. If it doesn't sound stupid, don't assume that I'm wrong, that it is kind of meaningless. It might just sound okay to you.
Or
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe it's not that. I don't know. Uh, but also, it's the not knowing. Like, where is the mind? Oh, like, what do you mean? Like, in the body? And when you look at this from the perspective of someone who knows that he mostly exists in a skull, like, wow, humans are so funny. Like, they don't know. They don't know that they are this.
Of the two?
yeah,
And where's the mind?
your beliefs and your
Where?
where is your
Yeah.
mind in your body or
Yeah. Okay. Great.
can't tell.
Fantastic.
Sorry.
Okay, no, you did great. All right, thank you very much.
It was perfect. It was exactly what I wanted.
Okay, so number one question is, what is the mind?
it's not brain maybe but
Boom. Nailed it. It's not the brain, maybe. Okay. Awesome. Done. Done for the day. Talked to two people in La Rochelle. Talked to two not self-aware Homo sapiens. What?
Okay. Okay, so the mind exists maybe. Okay, so
Oh, it produces the mind.
okay. Okay, so the mind exists maybe here, but it's not the brain. Okay. Okay, second question. Do you know what a cognitive bias is?
Okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Alright, next. So this one is in French. I'm just gonna tell you about this one, I think. So, let's see.
Pour l'esprit humain, le cerveau, tout ça.
Voilà, pour commencer, pour moi, l'esprit, tu parles de l'esprit et du cerveau, ce sont deux choses totalement différentes.
All right, so he says, yeah. So he's talking about, you mentioned the mind and the brain to me. For me, it's two completely different things. He goes in and he talks about, just what humans typically say, basically. Then at some point, he asked me, and I do like when they ask me. I know in one of my interviews, I was like, no, you answer. But sometimes I do. Well, it does demonstrate that like they don't necessarily think that they have all the answers, or maybe they just want to put me on the spot because they feel like I put them on the spot. I don't know. But so anyway, so I explained to him that it's these networks, these mechanisms interacting, all forged by evolution, blah blah, and then so he's pretty impressed with some of the experiments that I recount. Um, but then what's interesting is at the end, so Neo, at some point on our trip, this is a hitchhiker, by the way. Oh, yeah, so Neo and he kind of bonded. Neo had his head right there, and sometimes he'd be petting him. And so at the end, when I drop him off, or here I'm dropping him off, I ask him, would you consider that, this possibility that there might not be magic or whatever, that might be brains. And he goes, yeah, definitely. But, at the same time, the connection that I felt with you, and me and Neo, we felt a connection, we bonded. And that sort of feeling, well, that's not, that's something else. All right. oxytocin, serotonin, the brain stem, and the amygdala, all that stuff, and it's not real. Dopamine, it's not real. Okay. All right. It's some magic stuff in the ether. All right, fine. How are we doing on this? What's this? Okay. So here we are. Boop, boop, boop. And some definitely knows in La Rochelle. He was kind of open to it, but no, he was like, gotta be something more. Socializing is more than biology. I don't even know what you would. I mean, yeah, it is. Anyway, I don't know what to put there. I'm just take that out. Okay. All right. So then we've got another French one. All right. So this is just.
T'as dit quoi?
Quand je t'ai vu arriver dans le musée,
Ouais.
j'ai cru.
Quête philosophique.
J'ai toujours un bon instinct.
There you go. I always have a good instinct. I always know. I have an incredible intuition. Blah blah blah. Go to the track then. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. But anyway, we've seen that, and it's and women will talk about, especially women will talk about some superpower with women that they have this incredible intuition where they're just tapped into reality, where they're just clocking everything. That's not exclusive to women. My buddy Fred, he's told me a number of times how he sees everything. He doesn't miss anything. And we've had a couple, like for instance, yesterday. This was, I thought, funny. Two incidences, and then one today where I don't know that he saw enough. Yesterday he was filming my interview. About 5 minutes. He also has an iPhone. It was not recording. Okay, no biggie, no biggie. And I bet the two hippies that were standing behind him, who were definitely looking at the camera to see how their friend looked on camera, and I bet they know, like if they had just looked a second, they would have seen, oh wait, why is it still 0000? And I bet they would also claim to like notice everything. But anyway, and then, but here's a funny thing that you didn't notice. So we're walking along the beach. He says, so we can go get water over here from this whatever building here by the Hard Rock Hotel here anyway. And so he says there's a security guard though at some time, so we have to be careful. It was about 6:50 p.m. He says, I say, well, when was the security guard here? During the day? He said, no, around 7 p.m. I was like, what, so now? She doesn't care. He shows me where the water is. He doesn't respond to that. He shows me where the water is. We go walk over so we can climb over a fence. And as we walk over to the climb over point, I said, what about the camera? He doesn't clock that he doesn't like, I don't speak quietly, but he's busy focusing on the barrier and explaining it to me. So he starts to climb the barrier. I said, but that camera doesn't bother you at all? And so he goes, what? And there was a very dim red ring around the camera, for I guess it's night vision or something. And Amy could see it from the side, but he goes, "Is that it? That's a camera?" And I go right in front of the camera. I look straight in the camera. I go, "Yeah, it's a camera." He comes stand next to me, and we're just two dumbasses pointing at the camera. And he goes, "Oh shit!" And then we were walking, and or no, maybe it was today. Or no, we were walking back, and he said, I don't know why it was kind of dumb of them to put lights on the security camera, though. I was like, well, I think it's the night vision thing. But then today, he skirted around what the field of view of the security camera. He went over another part of the barrier. I'm standing guard or whatever. He comes back over, or maybe while I'm standing guard, take a look around. I look through the barrier. There's a camera just pointed straight at the barrier. Oh no, you went through it. So then we're leaving, and you want to avoid the camera. She says, okay, you gotta go this way. And I said, what about that camera? And he looks up and he's walking right through it. So anyway, so we see with all human brains that there is, we've heard of Dunning-Kruger, we've heard of self-serving bias, we've heard of confirmation bias, we know about the overconfidence. We know that humans are just like, oh, I see all. I have a good feeling about things. Blah, blah, blah.
Alors que la raison, on va l'étudier, on va le planifier. Donc c'est plutôt catégorique, c'est plutôt cartésien. Alors que
And we like to use words like Cartesian or reasonable or logical to be like logic, science, knowledge, and then like feeling, soul, and brain, and like feeling, soul, and emotion, and like instinct, and you gotta kind of go. Oh wait, actually that's anyway. That's not what this video is about. All right, let's move on.
Have you heard of the hard problem in psychology or philosophy, which is sort of how we can define consciousness? Okay. What can you have a brain? You maybe have or are a. Oh no! Don't tell me I'm out of space. Except a lot of space. Okay. What is a mind?
Well, for me, the mind, I can say, is an instrument that gives me all my mobility, my interaction with the body. My brain is in the heart.
Your brain what?
It's inside my heart where I feel my body breathing. Yeah, I feel my energy. And what provides me the energy? The heart.
Okay, so the brain.
All right,
is
anyway,
the
you can
heart?
go watch this one. So, ça, tu veux venir? Pourquoi tu cherches Néo?
Okay, never mind. You do? A little? Okay. Got there. Okay. Here we go. All right, ready? What the mind is? Yeah, what is the mind?
All right, so these two folks are from Reno.
These folks are from Reno. Here, we're going to have the Andorra behind us. There you go. All right, so you come over here with us. All right, so what's the mind? What are you? What's the soul? Honest. Okay. Loving. Okay.
Reflection of the truth in yourself.
Right. And where do these sort of what organ produces, or where do these things come from? These actions, these.
And it's a really basic confusion, by the way. We feel our emotions here. I mean, except for headaches, the brain doesn't feel anything up here or feel anything is coming from here. So there's activity here that is interpreted by the brain, but interpreted as having happened here, not here. So, I mean, and which is a useful thing, right? Because if you have pain, you need to know where on your body it is. So even though the substance P and, the pain stuff is happening here, you have to be able to localize it, right? So you can be like, oh, let me get that arrow out. Oh, my stomach hurts. It can't just be like, oh, shit. I don't know, I'm in pain. Something's wrong with my body. Don't know where it is because I'm feeling it here where I am in my brain. No. So obviously there was a map. And anyway, sometimes that map can get confused. So a woman, she starts, what's the example? The orgasm, like, so well, actually, during especially a female orgasm, they will feel. I mean, I'm talking to men because I'm not going to explain because I don't know it anyway. They will sometimes feel it throughout, rather than just emanating from the area mapped on their brain from the groin. They will feel it as everywhere. Ooh, I felt nice just imagining it.
Great value.
So then we think that because that's where we feel feelings, we're like, oh, that must be where interpretation is, and everything is happening.
Oh yeah? Okay. All right, very good.
So I'm still trying to figure out where in the body they're saying our parents.
Like it's your true self, the character you're taking that your cord might then corrupt it, maybe.
Okay. And that true self, if I had to point to it in the body, is there a place I could point? Okay, so let me make sure. Okay, so for you it's there, and for you it's there.
Can you imagine? I mean, look, if I were talking to literal chimps, like that's cool. Wow. Okay, cool. So you have this sense of self and this where this soul emanates from, and it's like I think that this is where it exists in me. I think this is where it exists in me. Okay. But like we have books now. I mean, not even we have books, just like information exists. And here you've got these two primates going, I think I'm here. Okay.
All right, great. Thanks very much. That's it.
That's his mind.
That's it. All right, we'll go eat. All right. Thank you.
I mean, they seem like lovely people. May have rioted. I mean, may have raided. I mean, may have, you know what I'm trying to say. All right, now we got my cousin.
All right, Dad, you're up. I'll ask you about three things, and if you can tell me what you feel like one of them is, that'd be a great start. The mind, the soul, the brain. What is the mind? What is the brain? What is the soul? And this, your first answer doesn't need to, no answer needs to be complete. But you can just start with keywords. So what is the mind?
No, I put a stop.
He probably was so, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that way. He was probably so insulted that I like baby fed him the question like that.
The brain is the machine.
The brain's the machine.
It's the physical thing and all the workings in it.
Okay.
The mind is a bit more of an abstract idea because I can say that would contain like the information, I guess.
The information is not contained in the machine. Or should I then ask about the relationship between?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's going to be a lot I don't know again.
Well, okay, but I'm doing these interviews for what? It's not about what you know. It's about what you.
With the mind, I would say that includes like understanding.
Move around.
Feelings, maybe.
Okay, and the brain, would that also involve feelings?
The brain is the machinery behind all of this, I'd say.
Okay.
It's the thing. I mean, I wouldn't say that the brain contains happiness, contains outrage,
You wouldn't.
contains anger.
Okay.
It doesn't contain something that says, if this, then go here, and this is in this brain, this is the, like, there is a physical thing called anger there.
What if
I mean, there is a physical event or a series of mechanisms or a network that could be like, when that's active, that's anger. When these chemicals are in the system, that's anger. Rebehave.
What if
But
I said
it's the machinery that can activate those things.
so?
What are we doing? Why do we have to be so dualist? It's a machine that activates. Oh my goodness.
We imagine the brain as the machine that activates these things that exist outside of the brain. Then the brain, there's some physical activity which triggers the abstract idea activity of the mind, or produces it.
The constructs. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it.
And thank goodness we have words like abstract and construct and non-tangible and whatever, intangible, ineffable, whatever. Otherwise, it'd be really hard to make this shit up.
Things which it has defined those constructs. Yeah.
But what if I told you that now, in 2023 already, you could have damage to your brain, and your anger could change, your happiness could change.
Just the machinery has changed.
Okay.
That holds those constructs. Yeah.
So the constructs are in the machine.
The constructs are fired by the machine. They trigger those constructs. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Understanding what those constructs entail, what triggers them, all of that data is contained within the brain.
Okay. Very good. Cool. And then last question then is,
Again, like even with your question, you said, what if I could tell you that now in 2023 that the idea of now is what is it again is a construct, isn't it? the idea of 2023 again is a construct.
Yeah.
That all of that data is contained.
By the way, what is a construct? It's a label. Okay, that's what I've been saying recently. All abstract things, it's labeling or setting. So it's saying these real physical things together form a thing. Okay, now that a new thing formed by these pieces and considered a single thing, that is an abstract construct. Okay, but it has components. And yeah, so you could say the mind is like an abstract, like it's like this brain activity at this time and including this endocrine activity and the gut activity here and that snapshot, that was the mind in that moment. But a label can't do a thing. It's its components that can interact with the world.
Three again is a construct.
Yeah.
That all of that data is contained within the brain.
Within the brain, okay. And then how would you say the soul, or the word soul relates to the words mind and brain?
That's a very tricky one. Again, with mind, again, like soul technically is a construct, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing.
All words are.
There's nothing that you can point to and say this is my soul.
Definitely not.
We're in different cultures. You might point here. You might point here.
Correct. Incorrect.
So,
okay, then let me ask you this: what about the self?
All right, that's enough. Oh my gosh, these guys. Leo, big man Leo.
The choice between three questions. You can answer any of them. Okay. What is the mind? What is the heart? What is the brain?
All right. Well, so after a long series now of non-self-aware folk, so we have all these guys that we just did. Not a single one of them had a semblance of of knowing what they were. All right, now let's meet Leo and Nolan.
Oh, fourth. What is the soul? Oh, should you be having this castle? What do you guys think?
All right, I'll start with the mind. I feel like that one's the easiest. All preferences. I'm a little bit I like philosophy a little bit, so I might get into this a little deeper than you want. But
fuck you.
I'm a
philosopher. Okay, I love that. I like kind of like the functional idea of the mind, right? So the mind isn't the brain meat that you have, but it's like the system of neurons that contribute to your decision making, and those neurons could theoretically be in silicon in the chip, and you could upload your mind, and it's still the same mind. Yeah. Is that mind you? I don't think so. I think that's a separate thing. But,
wait, that mind isn't you?
I don't think that mind.
Sorry for the bad audio. I didn't know that my Tabasco had ruined this mic.
Mind is one thing, and your identity is a separate thing, and I think your identity is inseparable from your human body.
Right. Okay, so identity corresponds more to the body then,
in my opinion,
to those mechanisms of mind.
So there's the cognitive stuff in your decision making, and
that's the mind stuff.
And that's the mind. You can put your brain in a vat, and that would all be kind of the same thing, and you could simulate without your body. But just think about the way your body responds to exercise and physical touch. I think there's so much there that's we don't understand how it's all related, and think about your gut, how much your gut processes, and all this stuff about how you have all this intuition in your gut. Yeah. I think your body is incredibly important to determining who you are, but the mind is kind of its own thing and could maybe be isolated, but it wouldn't be you.
I'm understanding though how the mind would be a smaller fraction of the self than the body.
Ask that question again.
So how the mind? I'm not understanding how the mind would be a smaller fraction of the self than the gut, than your senses, and then the body.
You're saying the mind, that is the mind?
I'm saying that if I were,
why does the mind make up like a smaller part than like the gut or the other senses?
you seem to be attributing the self more to the body. And I would think your beliefs, your personality, your reactions, your judgments, your interpretations would be more the self than your gut brain.
I think it's more the self. I think the mind like is more important to who you are than your leg.
Okay.
But I think you can't separate them and say that
Well,
that's
okay, so if we say that the self is the set of all of what we can call interpretive mechanisms, which includes mechanisms in the gut, which includes the peripheral nervous system, and so all of your senses and all of that, then you chip away a piece of it, and that takes it.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it would be a different self, or it would only be a part of the self. Anytime you move anything, or even as we grow, as we change, and as the...
So he's immediately thinking of Theseus's ship. He's gone to, as you change a little bit, then you could replace the whole thing. And at what point did like the person change? I'm not there yet, or maybe I'm on a different track.
Connections change, and so
I'm saying okay, but you remove this, you remove that, whatever. But what's going to be the most consequential change? Won't it be if you go like that?
The self changes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's super. That's super like the Theseus's ship kind of thing. Where like,
I don't know about this.
There's like the idea is there's a ship, and it's like this new ship, and it's Theseus's ship, and then over time, like something breaks. You replace one part of it. And after some period of time, it's a completely new. Every single original part is replaced. Is it still the ship?
So you have to wonder what are the defining pieces.
And I'm not sure.
And now I'm trying to bring it back to you. Okay, right. But what is the defining piece?
I don't know.
Maybe we couldn't define that. Maybe we're asking a question that we can't answer. That. Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want?
See, I don't yet understand. This is my brother in cognition here. I can tell that he's smart, but he seems to be doing a little magic gut stuff that I wouldn't.
Add some.
Oh shit, we gotta hurry up. We can't do an hour of this. Okay, well you gotta watch this video. This one's really good. It doesn't matter anyway. We're not gonna come up, but we're gonna come up with questions with him for testing self-awareness. But he does. Oh, but wouldn't I want to show you how his self-awareness? Because since we've been talking about how do I? Alright, I'll show you when I realized this was my brother in cognition.
Right. Okay. Very good.
For some period of time, it's a completely new. Every single original part is replaced. Is it still the ship?
So you have to wonder what are the defining pieces.
And I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess you guys have a way more deeper understanding of the mind than me. But I was just gonna say, like, my mom always like raised me, teaching me that the mind is something like way more powerful than we think it is, and that we like understand about, and like really you can like be a lot more determined and a lot more resilient and what it is. But I'm not way deeper than. I think your personality comes from both the environment that you're grown up in, but also I'm sure some of it is genetic as well. But at least for me, like my personality, exactly how like she acts, and
so it's an interplay. So basically, and that will. What is intuition? You mentioned intuition earlier. What is intuition?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the thinking we do.
Let me just make sure. That'd be really involved. All right, go ahead.
Good. I think a lot of the thinking we do, we're very aware of that thinking, right? Like we're actively processing. Some people even have like a narrative in their head, like you're still like processing, and then a lot of times you're not actively processing, but you kind of reach not emotional feelings, but feelings like I'm going to cross the street because I don't feel. You know what I mean? Like everybody's felt it. Yeah.
Decision.
Yeah. You've been in situations so many. Again? Yeah.
Have you heard of System 2 and System 1? The intuition. Well, we're in art engaged. Really interested in cut. And if they step out of line, and then you make the correction.
Reasoning for correcting it than people do.
How does that? So that would be. So basically, it's another instinct.
Just more. Okay.
So your brain, yourself, it's a competition between we can call them instincts, biases, heuristics, mechanisms. Like repetition that's going to produce a behavior. And so it's all
I think those are like under the guise of like, this is my intelligence telling me to do that.
totally misattribute a lot of our instincts. Yeah. Sometimes we say, oh, that's a good instinct.
All right, whatever. I'm not gonna find it here. Oui. Dis-moi.
Les mecs comme Naz,
Oui.
tu vois, qui fument ou qui boivent ou qui sont gentils et avant dans les villages, ils étaient en liberté. Hein.
Ah oui, en plus, tout le monde prenait soin d'eux.
Ils étaient bienvenus dans chaque famille.
Bah oui, ils partageaient, c'est ça.
Tu vois, dans la famille en Italie, là, hein, mon grand-père, c'était un peu le chef de village, mais de toute façon, il n'y avait que 2 familles dans ce village. Donc, tu vois, c'était un tout petit village. Hein.
Oui.
Et il y avait un fou chez nous, Luigi s'appelait comme mon père en plus.
Oui.
Un tout petit, là, avec une tête toute ronde, il jouait de l'accordéon, il était bourré.
Ah non, pardon, c'est une longue histoire.
Non, mais c'est pour t'expliquer. Tu vois, il allait de maison en maison et tu lui offrais du vin, il jouait.
Ah oui, c'est ça.
Il repartait, il était toujours
bah oui, non, t'as raison que. Du coup, moi, je lui ai passé un sac à dos et un duvet.
Ah, c'est bien.
Very abstract.
Tu n'aurais jamais fait mal à une mouche.
I think.
All right, these kids are, they just say that the audio is bad, so I just want to skip this one. But they do have they talk about reason, but then 2 of them that are talking about reason sort of have a weird definition what reason might be, which is basically the knowledge of what conforms to what is possible and what isn't, or what is real and what isn't, maybe, or what is, well, actually specifically it was like, can I have a mountain in my bedroom? Anyway, and it was this idea that basically, yeah, we're this blank slates when we're kids. We think anything is sort of possible. We don't realize, and then as we get older, we learn, we acquire reason that this is not possible, and that whatever. Okay. Ah.
C'est quoi le cerveau? Qu'est-ce qui, bon, un peu, voilà.
All right, we're not going to watch this whole video or translate it.
Ce gaspillage total. Effréné.
Ça, c'est toi, ça.
Disparaissent peu à peu.
Une chierie.
C'est ça.
Une porcherie.
C'est ça.
Et après, tout est enterré au même endroit.
C'est ça.
D'où tu viens, qui tu es, où tu vas. Qui ont pris les rênes, tu vois. Diable, tu vois. C'est.
Ok.
On est de passage.
Mais alors, pourquoi pas le paradis, alors?
All right, well, so this one is really interesting, and it's an ongoing conversation as well with our friend Fred here. And I talk about it in a recorded Zoom call with Leo, and we talk to Fred as well in the call, and Leo gets to talk to Fred through my translating. Long story short, instinctively, he believes in a essence that is something other than the brain, but then as we've been talking about it, and there's definitely naive realism, definitely has faith in his, or believes in his experiences and judgments and so on, and continues to on that, but where there has been some sort of maybe change or addition, or I don't want to say growth, but is also considering the possibility, that I might be a brain, and that Eris knows quite a bit about these mechanisms.
I'm Fred.
Yeah.
Hello.
Awesome.
Attends. Il travaille, mais j'ai un peu...
All right, so now we've got
Toi.
this French guy. He was, I asked him where he existed in himself. He said his energy was on this island here at this market. We talked a little bit more, and then eventually he said, I said, your mind, though, your spirit is where? And he said his eyes.
Sur l'île d'Ibiza.
Oh, no. On the island of Ibiza. And I said, but I'm expecting you to point somewhere on your body. He obliges.
Tant que tu m'indiques peut-être, je sais pas, ici, là.
Ah, je dirais, ok. Mon esprit, je dirais, il est dans mes yeux.
All right, very good. I don't know. We haven't. I think just going through them is enough and keeping in mind the self-awareness thing. Oui.
Qui c'est qui a dit ça? Mon esprit est dans mes yeux.
C'était le premier mec que j'ai interviewé au marché. Quand j'ai dit attends, il travaille, mais j'ai peut-être.
C'est vrai, tu vois une partie de l'esprit des hommes dans leurs yeux, quoi.
Fred said that's true. You see a part of a man's spirit or mind in his eyes. C'est-à-dire, what do you mean?
Le reflet de ce que tu es.
Mais ce reflet-là, tu crois que c'est vraiment son esprit qui ressort, ou est-ce que c'est un jugement, un sentiment chez toi? You think his brain comes out of his eye a little bit? His thoughts, what he thinks, and what he is, and it comes out of his eyes a little bit?
Je le capte tout de suite.
And you catch it immediately.
Plus sous psychotrope, là.
And then when you're on psychotropics, you look in men's eyes and you see their souls.
Je vois le spectre.
You see the specter, the aura of that man. Well, that's cool.
Mystique.
But it's also possible. Well, that's not this video.
Can I ask you a couple of questions on video? All right, very good.
What the fuck? Oh, okay.
What's your name?
Carlos.
Carlos. Eris.
Eris.
Encantado. This is your quantum services here? Okay, hold on. Let me get the mic going.
All right, well, Carlos.
Okay, great, Carlos. Tell me about this.
So, what I do, I train my mind for like 18, 20 years, and I keep using my life to train my mind. And I work on do things out of the ordinary. Like I work in teleportation, in somehow in creating wild things.
Okay.
Like I can do a lot of stuff with the weather. So for me, matter and no matter is more or less the same.
Okay.
I understand that with the mind you can change a lot of things.
Yeah.
We all create reality all the time. So, and I train a lot in seeing the future.
You what?
Train a lot seeing the future.
Okay.
And then with
There you go. This guy, he can see in the future. He can send colors to like 2/5 of kids, even if the kids don't have training. You can get them to think of the color in his mind. Oh, pardon. Je sais pas, c'est une habitude. C'est un réflexe de mettre comme ça.
Concentre-toi.
Merci. So anyway, so then I ask him, because we see here, I understand the connection between brain, mind, and source energy. So I ask him about this connection, and he says, comment ça se fait qu'il est là-bas? And he says, the mind is kind of everywhere. The brain's like this antenna that receives sort of the source energy. I don't have it in me. All right. Next. So here we go. So he talks about how you can send it to the.
or somebody and you meet that people.
Yeah. Then you run into them. Yeah.
So it's not that coincidence and all that. No. The only
Confirmation bias, or even it's just, yeah, we have lots of dreams or we think about lots of people and then they don't call. And guess what? The brain doesn't record those instances. And then in those times, and I know it feels magical, because I'll swear by it. I'll swear by it. I've had experiences where it's like, that can't be a coincidence. I was like thinking about that person, and then I got a message from that person. That's a sign. And I bloody follow those signs. That's because I'm a human brain that lets himself play. It is not real. It feels incredibly real, and I follow it, and I swear to you, I follow the signs from God. I promise you. What else am I going to do? But it's not it's not real. It's just how you interpreted it.
And you meet that people.
Yeah. Then you run into them. Yeah.
So it's not that coincidence and all that. No. The only thing is like the brain.
It's alignment.
No.
Apparently, we weren't on the same page there.
Brain, or however you want to call it, but
okay, maybe.
Like the brain is a receiver.
Yeah.
So the antenna receive the thing in few seconds. I will meet this person because
so the person's walking down and through something, no expert of anything understands yet, and that's okay. There's a lot of stuff we don't understand. They send their arrival information, and somehow we evolved to be antennae for that. I guess all species are their brains are antennae. There's no there's no programming in here. Just antennae, and just how good the antenna is, really. Of course, we say that because we see antennae and we have some sense of how they work. We have very little sense and we have very little experience, physical experience with the brain and seeing it function or needing to know how it functions. So that's why the brain is like, I don't know what that is, but here's what I do know about. I know antennae exist. So that metaphor.
Proof in laboratory that the brain, so it's proof that the brain receives 6 seconds something that will happen before it happens. And this is
Argentina.
Argentina, c'est pour ça il parle.
In laboratory. Wow. So there is a lot of more things. Do you know anybody who did that research?
Look, I'm gonna stay open-minded, bro. Hit me with that link. Oh shit, j'ai fait tomber.
Oh putain, sur mon pote.
Oh putain, je suis désolé. Non, je suis vraiment désolé. ça va faire plus facile pour faire pipi, non? Okay, let's be serious now. So this character here, what was I gonna say? He's sending signals. There's some science that has proven it. I don't know why Kahneman and McRaney and Steven Pinker aren't talking about this stuff. I guess they've been bought out by the anti-psychic healing lobby. And I don't think I have it in me. So anyways, they've been proven. He doesn't know who they are. I think he might be referring to the experiment about like a decision being readable on a brain scan before the subject is aware of it. So we see some decision, some of the activity that, okay, this is what the decision's going to be. This is the activity, the motor stuff. It's all ready. It's all primed. They're definitely going to move this hand. And then it's a quarter of a second later where the subject goes, okay, I decided to move this hand. And just trust that they did it in like a good way, or look it up yourself, where it wasn't just like it just took a quarter of a second for the subject to say it out loud or something. So I think he's referring to that and just distorting that because, you know, we're human brains and knowledge is hard.
And I will tell them the technique now, okay? Yeah.
So these are the children he sends colors to.
Tell them the technique now. Okay, I bring 5 kids. I tell them, okay, you have to do this. I send them color red. Most likely 2 or 3, they will get it. Okay, and then the other.
What are the options? Red, blue, green. And let's assume he's distorted it a little bit in his mind. You know, let's go with his lower estimate of 2. And let's also, we know that how the mind works. We know you're going to explain away times when it was 0 and stuff. So can we drop it down to 1 maybe? And then if we go, wow, 1/5 of the time it happens. What are the likely colors to think of? Red, blue, green, yellow, orange. I mean, let's just go red, green, blue, bro. We're not impressed with I guess 3/5. If that were true, that could be impressive. If they're getting it 3/5 of the time instead of 1.75 or whatever, 1.5, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
Ones maybe they got red, but they also got other.
Anyway, so I'm just trying to understand. In your mind, how does this thing work? Why aren't some people getting it? Is it because their mind, because of naive realism? I'm thinking this guy's probably a naive realist. This guy probably thinks that like we are all equipped to just receive the truth, and then there's probably interference, which is why we sometimes mess up.
They are thinking.
They are thinking. Okay, so they didn't let themselves receive the truth from Brahma or whatever. They were thinking themselves because the brain isn't just an antenna; it's also thinking. Or maybe they were thinking the mind, which is everywhere, and that was interfering. That was noise for the brain antenna.
I mean, kind of like they don't get present, or maybe they got red.
So they're interfering with the signal that they.
We are the. So, or maybe they got red, or maybe they no, for sure this guy is.
So he's like, maybe they originally got red, but then like, oh no, for sure this guy wants to ask me about blue or something. And then I say, or green, because that's what you're wearing.
Sending me blue.
See, right.
So it's like we play with all the things.
No, but it's more logical that he's thinking green because
like,
he's wearing green.
For me, it's like I tell to people, listen to yourself. But if you make
listen to yourself, not the thinking, I guess, that's happening in the mind, which is everywhere, but listen to the message received by the brain antenna, and he'll train you how to know whether it's ether mind noise or truth reception antenna.
Too much films in your head. You are also not listening to yourself because everything you are making a film.
So we should typically we do hear sort of, or we receive the right signal at first, and then we
exactly
change it.
Okay.
All right.
Of course, if we already came the predetermined and say, okay, no, because of this is like that.
Yeah, or if you already have a preconception, then that's going to block you from receiving the truth. Yeah. Okay. We know this story.
The thing.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, very good.
Now, Sonia, do not be jealous. I was just thinking, she cute, and just in case, I don't. This is also to show I'm not a crazy person, I'm not like I'm ready to be in love with you, but Anyway, this girl actually, when I sent her the video, she didn't text me back anyway. But she's not from here anyway. She's cute though, ain't she?
Hello. Do you speak English?
A little.
A little? Can I just ask you a question? I'm doing an interview. ¿Entendí?
Sí, pero no sé.
¿Qué piensas?
Y si no.
Decirlo en español.
Ella Lidia.
Eres.
Eres es yo soy.
No, Eris. Me llamo Eris.
A little confusion because my name's Eris. Eris means you are. And so she thought I was like saying I am you are.
Sí. No, me llamo
That's so
Eris.
inappropriate what I'm doing right now, I'm sorry.
Okay. Hola. Okay, so you a little bit of English. You speak a little bit of English. Okay.
All right, anyway, long story short, she says that she exists in Colombia.
¿Dónde eres en tu cuerpo?
¿De dónde soy?
I was like, where are you in your body? She's like, where am I from?
No, de dónde.
I was like, no, not where from. Where are?
¿Dónde existas?
Where do you exist?
Existas aquí, existas aquí.
Colombia.
I say you exist here, you exist here. She was like, in Colombia, mother sucker.
Pero tú.
I was like, And then I was like, but
your mind.
Mi mente en Colombia.
I was like, but your mind. She goes, yep, nigga, in Colombia.
Espíritu en Colombia.
My spirit in Colombia. Ask me what you want, nigga, in Colombia.
Ahora mismo yo, por ejemplo.
Pero esa conversación.
Sí.
I was like, but this, with a nice Barcelonan accent, but this conversation
Es contigo, ¿no?
is with you, isn't it?
Pero no estamos en Colombia.
But we're not in Colombia.
Ya, no estamos en Ibiza.
Sí.
Yeah, we're on Ibiza.
Entonces, tú es ojos, cerebro.
Should have said eres.
Razón.
So I'm asking you, are you eyes? Are you heart? Are you brain? What are you?
¿Qué eres?
Todo.
Todo. Okay, es eso.
Right. There you go. And the other one said, I don't know how to respond. All right. What are we doing now? You guys were just hanging out. Let's just be quick, though.
English, great. Where are you from?
All right.
Holland.
Someone needs to translate his answers, mostly in Dutch, but basically he was like, brain and mind, not the same thing. This is good. All right, let's meet Javi.
Senor, do you speak English? Do you speak English?
Yeah.
Yeah, could I interview you? Just a couple questions on video, basically what the mind is.
It's okay.
Yeah, super. Where'd the other one go? There were two. Oh, he's still going. All right, tell me something. What is the mind?
What? The mind?
What is the mind?
Mm, I think in cosmos, in the cosmos.
So
Not
the
already.
mind is up there.
Yeah, because I think like we are like one big mind, not not a particular individual minds.
Okay. And what's in there?
A brain.
Oh, it says suicidal tendencies.
Yeah.
Okay, so those suicidal tendencies, are they in the cosmos or in that skull?
Oh, that's a band, hardcore band. So
Okay, but just in general, thoughts and feelings and emotions like that.
I think more in a way like Plato used to say, no, like there's a world with all that stuff.
Okay. I have to pay you.
But it's beneath this world also.
Go on. It's beneath this world, sort of the real or the unit.
They are real, but they are not something tangible.
Okay.
You know, like you can acknowledge it, but you can't touch it.
But what about people who think that the mind and the brain are the same thing?
Because they are not used to think.
Okay.
They are more simple people, no? Like they don't like to understand how it works, how the society or brain works.
Okay. And then what about a dog? Does it have a mind?
I missed the best part.
Okay.
Our brain works.
Okay. What about people who think that the mind and the brain are the same thing?
Because they are not used to think.
Okay.
They are more simple people, no? Like they don't like to understand how it works, how the society or brain works. Our brain works.
Okay. And then what about a dog? Does it have a mind?
Oh. I think yes.
Yeah?
They have mind.
Does it have a brain?
Also, yeah.
But there's the same difference between mind and brain?
Yeah, think about that one, Avi.
I never thought about that.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. Good. In France?
French.
Okay, very good. All right, so here's what I'm asking people. What is the mind?
What is the mind? The mind is like your spirit, what you have inside you. Like
you pointed here.
Yeah, in your head.
What's that mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking to see whether this was recording. But why what's here? The mind
the
is
brain?
here?
Yeah, inside the brain.
Are the mind and brain, are they the same thing?
No.
No? Tell me about that.
I think the brain is more like a motor. And
he likes the word motor.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Antenna, we know antenna. Motors, we know motors. And then there's just a magical other thing. The brain is an antenna, the brain is some antenna, the brain is a motor, and the mind is this magical other thing. Okay.
Like the motor and the...
Okay. Do you know what a cognitive bias is? And biais cognitif?
No.
I mean, what difference does it make to you what a biais cognitif is? The biais cognitifs are the way that the brain is wired. It's the way that we evolved for it to be wired. If you're this pure magical mind, the motor can just keep going and you're fine. Just, of course you don't know what a biais cognitif is. Alright. Or a cognitive bias. Alright, let's go here.
You to point. Where's your mind?
My mind and my brain.
Okay, and what's the difference between your mind and your brain?
The body is different as brain.
Huh? No, hold on. So the brain and the mind, are they different? Maybe. But maybe you are a brain?
I guess.
It's possible?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's it. Thanks. Bye. Dank. Hola.
Exist in your body.
Yeah, do you exist in your body?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so? All right, very good. Where are you guys from?
From Holland.
Holland. Oh, okay. I just okay.
No problem.
Anyway, so
because I had asked him in German whether they spoke English, because I heard them speaking Dutch and thought it was German.
Tell me, you also agree you exist in your body?
I think so.
Yeah, where? Could you point?
Right here?
Okay, so that's, what's your name?
Luna.
Luna. So that's Luna there?
Yeah.
So if you change that part of your body, Luna goes somewhere else. What do you think?
I have it here.
You're here?
And if I smoke some hash or drink really much alcohol.
Now you realize, right? Even though he knows that he's a brain, for some reason he thinks that his brain architecture evolved to like be rational. It's only with the introduction of chemicals that aren't normally in there, or a change of activity, that he is imperfect.
Sometimes I'm
Yeah, very good.
Also, I mean, I'm being hard. You just wanted to make a joke, I guess.
Okay, is there a difference between the mind and the brain?
A mind and the brain.
Yeah, Luna says yes, but what's his name?
My name is Tyke.
Tyke? Very good. Eris?
Nice to meet you.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So what about you? Mind and brain, are they different?
No, I think it's the same.
All right, very cool, very cool. Hey, where are you from in Holland?
From Amsterdam.
All right, so now I asked about whether
That
they know my
disappointed me.
Yeah, sorry.
They did not.
Hey, are you?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay, that's fantastic.
Okay.
Okay, so what is the mind?
The mind?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, thanks.
What means like the mind?
El mente. La mente.
But like in which context?
What context comes to mind?
To mind about what?
The mind. Can you point to your mind?
Oh, my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's here.
Ah, okay, very good. So your brain is there too.
Yeah.
So are they sharing the skull?
Sharing the what?
Okay, hold on, we gotta pause a second. Okay, I had to make some space on my computer. Let's wrap this up. Let's go. Safari. We are. Hey, boop, boop. Hey, we are on the second to last one.
Oh, this is the skull.
Yeah. No.
So the mind and the brain, are they sharing it?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But are they the same thing?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, like the skull is this part, and my brain is inside.
Yeah, but the brain and the mind, are they the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Whoa, that's pretty cool. Very few people realize that. All right, ask Toma. Ask him. You guys ask him. ¿Dónde está la mente? ¿La mente y el cerebro son el mismo o no?
Sí.
Sí?
Wow, sí, okay. Claro. Sweet. Oh, all right, well, that's gonna take a second. Let's just talk now. I don't feel like I came up with anything. I wasn't inspired. I'm about to feel a little funny. Let's brainstorm, I guess. Basically, what we would like is to be able to give people 20 questions. 10 questions, actually. And then, if they are self-aware, then give them a follow-up responsibility test. With some really basic biases or something. So, for instance, you have to, which of the following is an example of the hindsight bias, something, I don't know. Or I don't know, we can do really basic confirmation bias, or maybe list 3 biases or something. I don't know. Nobody's going to actually pass that test, because what would be sufficient? 3 would not be sufficient. Out of the hundreds that we've identified, you can list 3 errors, but you don't catch them when you do it. I bet you don't catch. Oh yeah, give me an example of when you caught yourself. Nobody's gonna be able to do that. I mean, it's also difficult. Like, nothing comes to mind. How can you test whether they're taking responsibility for the fact that they are brains? So you would ask something like, are you 100% sure of anything? That's a dead giveaway for me, that you don't know you're a brain. And or if you do, you're not taking responsibility for it. How the hell can you be 100% sure of something? Alright, hopefully the Wi-Fi's back on. Okay.
What is the mind?
Am I recording here? Fuck.
The mind. The mind
Okay.
is our perception of ourselves. It's the creator of our own reality, I guess.
Okay.
By the way, we've heard that a lot about the mind is what creates your reality. And I haven't said anything about it. It doesn't slap anything. I'll have to let that marinate for more. Or somebody put in a comment anything that, how you would label that trend, what significance there is. The creator of our reality. The mind is and it's very true that the brain creates its reality, right? It's got these inputs and then it constructs its reality. It's very true. As I understand, I could explain how a statement like that is true. I'm not sure whether it's the same statement that, anyway.
Very good. Is there an organ that you attribute that to?
Organ.
Yeah, in the body.
I guess stomach, because that's where we get our gut senses from, our intuition.
Okay. And that intuition.
There is, and the gut brain, by the way, all right, link me. Put a comment with an article to this gut brain that everybody's all excited about, and how that has to do with, like, your, like, some kind of processing of your surroundings and intuition. I think that there is a gut brain that is involved in, like, the endocrine system or whatever. But that's different from a gut feeling, the intuition. Although that is felt in the part of here, localized to here, I don't think it's the gut brain producing that. No. Right? Well, anyway, look, a possibility. If the gut brain is doing something, now the brain has these intuitive mechanisms, and then when something is, like, bad, then we feel our stomach churn. But anyway, that's just aside from whatever the gut brain is doing. There are neurons in the brain, and there are neurons in the brain that are mapped to here, and that's where it's felt, which is felt here because it's, anyway, mapped.
Sort of. Brain. Yeah. Wait, but isn't it the gut?
Yeah, the gut, the centric brain.
Okay. And so that intuition, those are processing interpretive mechanisms happening in the gut.
Yeah, it's our nervous system.
Okay.
Where we feel kind of when something's off or when something feels good.
Yeah. Do you think that do you trust that gut?
Yeah, definitely.
Tell me more about that.
I trust it.
By the way, sometimes I ask people, and just so that they say it out loud. I mean, the way that Alexandra, who is absolutely lovely, by the way, the way that Alexandra is talking, definitely naive realism.
I've had instances where I've just walked into a room and...
So I asked her to tell me about that, right? And although I didn't articulate this, what would satisfy me in this moment is for you to have had an intuitive feeling about something and then found out that it corresponded to reality, even though you didn't actually have enough information to construct that reality yet. So you hadn't actually talked to a person, but your gut told them they were bad. You talked to them, and then they did something horrible. I don't know. Not that I would trust one anecdote, but I was hoping at least for some demonstration. But listen.
It just felt off.
Yeah?
I've had instances where I've just walked into a room and the energies just felt off. And weird things have happened. Or I've had instances where I've met people and I've just instantly felt calm and relaxed in their presence. I think that, especially when I met my husband, I don't think love is kind of fireworks.
I suppose you could say here that, yeah, so she had a good intuitive feeling about her husband. She felt calm and relaxed in his presence. I don't know whether that's like a prescient feeling. Prescient, But anyway, you'll notice that she talked about the feeling that she had, but there wasn't a follow-up, except for maybe this husband thing. But she didn't have a story where she walked in the room, she felt something was off, and then she looked over at this girl, and she felt something was off with her, even though she was laughing and everything. And then she looked in the newspaper the next day, and saw that this girl was actually kidnapped with her kidnapper at this party. I don't know.
That's not.
By the way, that still wouldn't demonstrate that anecdote alone, because obviously you walk into the room, you can get weird vibes, and that there's a certain way that a young woman and an older man should be interacting together. And there might be violations that don't trigger enough alarms for the whole brain to be fully picking up on it. But there were some mechanisms that picked up on it. They're going, hey, that's kind of weird over there. Hey, that's kind of weird over there. Which is why it is good to listen to your quote-unquote gut. Because there are mechanisms that, that wouldn't count as conscious, that aren't experienced by the brain, that are processing a whole bunch of interesting things. And sometimes they might be like, hey, psst. But also sometimes they're wrong, right? Sometimes they'll be like, hey, psst, watch out for that guy. And then you gotta be like, no, he's just black. So, anyway, what was I saying? Hey, psst, they're acting weird over there. And then, yeah, if you feel weirdness, glance over there. Let more of your mechanisms process what's happening. Absolutely, bro. But so it would have to have been outside. She touched the handle. And it felt cold, and her instinct, before she even walked in the room, her antenna was receiving there's a kidnapping or something bad happening inside. She felt, oh, no, something's weird. She opens the door. She doesn't even look at anybody. She feels shivers. And then a lot of people have a classic story like that, and then I didn't do anything, and I should have listened to my gut, because then blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I don't think love is fireworks.
Yeah, and you feel like you can totally be yourself.
I don't think anything can be quantified as one thing.
Okay.
I think.
So she had kind of localized the mind or the brain or the spirit to the stomach before. Then she was talking about different components interacting. And so then I was like, what about, and we talked about, okay, so brain, stomach interacting, all right, cool. And then I guess I say something like, what about people say, what did I say?
Why do they say that? What about people who say the brain is the soul? Why do they say that?
The brain, I think that I don't think anything can be quantified as one thing.
Okay.
I think everything kind of just works together.
Yeah, so the gut and the...
See, I don't want to try to ask him gotcha questions, but I don't know whether I was thought of it at the time, but I am tempted now to be like, okay, and what about people who say the stomach is the soul? Are you more...
Yeah, and the heart, I think everything kind of just harmonizes and works together. We can't just isolate one thing and say it is, the all-knowing of one thing.
Okay. All right, that's it. Great. Thank you very much. We did an interview, another chance. We're giving me another chance to be able to
Just a quickie.
And Naz.
Yeah. We can't just be reduced to the mind, because it kind of just makes up the mechanical parts of our beings.
I think she means brain there, right? Or what does mind mean to her? Is mind like the rational stuff that may or may not be a physical event, and then there's also the emotional, and there's also the antenna of the truth of the universe instinct stuff?
And the soul transcends all of that. But I think...
the soul transcends all of that. So we can't be reduced to the mind.
The mind, we can't just be reduced to the mind, because it kind of just makes up the mechanical parts of our beings. And
maybe she means brain again, because typically when we use the word mind, that label is assigned to like the self.
Soul transcends all of that. But I think we're heavily influenced by our gut. I think that's where our centric brain is. It's our nervous system. It's where we lead by instinct. And I think that when we fall in love, that it's a great indicator of whether it flows, whether it connects, whether it's good. Sometimes that fireworks try and supercharge, kind of thinking of peaceful.
And that can come from something interesting our friend Naz. He talked about the amygdala, which is a structure in the middle of the brain.
The fear center.
Fear and anger, yeah. Absolutely. So what do we do with that?
regarding the gut and all of that?
I think it's all about regulating the amygdala. It's going into the parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah.
Because when we go from that place, then we're making the right decisions. We're leading from a place of safety and comfort and kind of instinctive knowing of what's good for us. But when we're
so just that naive realism, the magic of this magical intuition, this magic centric brain that just knows all or whatever. And okay, great.
Our reality can be someone else's complete lie.
Okay. All right, go watch the rest of that.
There's only three sides to every story.
And she's really great, and she's nice to listen to.
Blend. It's a blend. Yeah.
Okay.
Bonjour, comment ça va? Ça va bien?
Dis-moi, c'est quoi le cerveau? C'est quoi l'esprit? No, I believe you said that. You said that since the hammer, you've seen more. Our special friend here got hit with a hammer recently, apparently on top of his head, and he said he's completely changed. He sees so much more. You've seen more, and you believe in the things that you're seeing.
Yeah,
but you know a lot about the brain.
Yes, I love the brain.
Yeah. So, do you think that every brain should trust every event in the brain? Like, do you think that my brain, me, that I should trust everything that happens in me?
No. There's a brain and there's a soul.
Ah, they're different.
Yeah, the soul can control the body.
How does it do that?
The body is a robot. It's just like, how do you call it?
I agree. It's just mechanisms.
It's a vehicle. It's the oldest machine that has existed ever.
Oh, that's not true. There are other species that existed well before us. Or you mean the body in general, a biological body? Plants, though.
Yeah, you can modify them genetically so they can glow in the dark.
Is it possible that the soul, the brain is the soul?
Yeah,
that's possible too. So
these are the. That is it.
Ah, I thought they were.
The God is inside of our brain.
The God is inside of our brain.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like the ghost in the machine?
The ghost in the shell.
And then you started talking about anime. Okay, all right. I think we're just gonna leave it there. There you go. So those have been reviewed. So now I'm just gonna try to think of some questions. I'm gonna try to think of some questions for. Let me know what your thoughts are, especially if you've watched these two reviews or whatever. Let me know what your thoughts are. What are some questions where a person that knows their brain, knows they are a biological entity determined, or whose initial construction was by Mother Nature, by evolution, and blah blah. What are some questions that separate them from soul people? All right, or even let me know what you think about categories for questions. Thanks a lot. Bye.